Okay, the recording started, so officially welcome out everyone to the Market Watch Group Midweek Check-In. I'm Scott. It's that time. Here are our disclaimers. Education, illustrative purposes only. No recommendations or guidance. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada yada. Lastly, what are we gonna do today? Well, today and now, I basically feel like the door's creaking open, right? The door's opening and we should be ready to trade. There are pullbacks and setups already. There are potentially more coming. Posture's improved. Let me ask this question. What's holding you back? Right? We didn't trade for a little while because we were trying to exercise caution and patience while we were watching the buyers to decide, hey, what's going on here? This is we had a 10% drop. We got it back pretty quickly. We're just trying to make sure. But now what? Right? What's the hesitation? And if there's none, great. You're basically saying, hey, I'm unencumbered. When I see signals, I trade signals. You know the policy. See something, trade something. I think that's what they say. So we'll go through the analysis. We'll look at the posture to see is it holding up. We'll look at our mindset for open trades. You probably have started a couple new ones. You've probably have maybe, I don't know. I would have to think anything from the previous momentum you've closed down. But likely started some new ones along the way. It depends on, every day is a bull market, every day is a bear market, depends on the stock. Yes, could you find something potentially bullish, bearish? But you're going to find that the overwhelming correlation is going to be it's not a random herd. There is a herd, and the herd is doing something. We definitely prefer bulls. More money's to be made with bulls. And what I've always said is trying to trade equally bullish and bearish is like trying to look peripherally left and right at the same time. If can you maybe try to like catch things? Yeah. If someone was holding up a sign with one letter on the left and one letter on the right, I'd imagine you could see that letters were there, but not be able to read either one of them. So it's like that, right? I can look to the right and focus and still peripherally see to the left. So if I'm focused on bullishness, I can do a little bear here or there, right? Like that's what I want to say about it. All right, let's get into it. Let's hit it. Let's start here. What do the futures say? Not a lot. Not a lot. U.S. futures stall as Wall Street counts down to NVIDIA. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. We've already had pullback. So the whole stall from what? We've already been in the depths of a small pullback. So the fact that the S&P's down 0.1, the Dow 0.05, the Nasdaq 0.2, the Russell 0.5, none of that's that significant. Oil's down 0.86, gold is down 0.5%. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's ideal. I think we could easily. Now, we could just have more things setting up. Yesterday, I think everyone was here, but if you missed it, we created kind of a concentrated list, a focus list. There was 12 stocks, and of those 12, there were 3. And of the 3, all were still waiting for triggers. All still waiting for triggers. We had said if the price goes at or above here, which typically was indicative of taking out the prior day's candle, which means, look, the buyers. It's not just an event. It's an event with implications. What are the implications? The implications are that buyers have gained control. That's the distinction of where, like, oh, buyers gaining control is the end of the dip when we're trying to buy the dip. So to Michael's point, we prefer to find a bull market and buy a dip. And here we are. Okay. I think that is pointing to being helpful. What else? There's not much. We're talking about an earnings report that comes out later today. Little bit political. Will stocks implode in the fall? Opening bid. I don't even know what that means. Is opening bid like? Does anyone know what that means? Is that a company? Opening bid is the one who are answering that question. I mean, it's just clickbait. It's all about fear, right? It's all about fear. Why Gen Z is too young to be loading up on bonds. Yeah, I agree with that. That's madness. Americans looking for jobs at the highest rate in 10 years. Ooh, I didn't know that. I'm not sure. I'll look into that maybe a little bit. A yet to be proven renewable energy solution. Interesting. That I'm interested in. What is it? Hydrogen power? Does anyone know? I'm sort of curious real fast, right? Yet to be proven and doubling down on fossil fuels. Carbon capture technology. Carbon capture technology. I don't know anything about that. Do you? Does anyone know anything about that? We've got engineers in here. Carbon capture technology. I thought they were going to say like hydrogen or something. I don't know what hydrogen, right? That's what I thought it would have been. Steven, what the hell do I know? I'm no engineer. I just hang out with a few sometimes. Okay. Let's go to the calendar. What's left? Supermicro stock is tanking in pre-market on an... Oh, that's not good. They delayed a filing. Anytime you miss an SEC deadline, oh, you're in a lot of trouble. These guys are going to open down. I mean, I guess it doesn't look catastrophic from this point, vantage point. It's here at 485. That's. I mean, it's big, but it's not like it's like, oh man, this thing is. We'll see if this support level holds right here. That was interesting. Okay. So what are we waiting for today? We're looking for... Oh, what were our jobless claims? I didn't even see it. If anyone... they're in trouble for allegedly modifying their books. Yeah. That'll get you in trouble. When you delay filings, that's typically not good. So... Yeah, if anyone knows what the jobless claims number was, ping me with that. We also have, none of this is updated, but we also have the GDP revision. We'll see what this comes out. Tomorrow's a decent amount of information coming out. There you go, Michael. That's one to watch for sure. They get a little rally and then fall. 100%. Income spending and PCE comes out tomorrow. That obviously will be something that you'll be talking about with Glenn on the open, and that we will discuss. That's not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Not till Thursday. What does tomorrow have? That's why I'm not seeing jobless claims. Because it's only Wednesday. Sorry, I've got my days all mixed up. They're expecting 2:30. I was thinking it's Thursday for some reason. What's wrong with me? We don't have anything today. That's why we keep talking about NVIDIA, because we don't have anything to talk about today. All right. Quick peek at the Fed, and then let's go look at the market as it opens. Holding it about 2-1 for the quarter point cut. I think we tend to be in agreement there. I would be shocked if they hit it with 50, especially because everything still seems to be pretty strong. So, all right, let's go take a peek. There's SMCI down at 4S. So it's holding support. It's holding this support level as far as that goes. Okay, so we're flat. We are flat. What does that mean? It means that we watch this day. We could end up still pulling back. We could end up starting to turn. It's the if it turns that's going to catch our eye. So I'm going to start. Where's my list? By walking through one of the things we talked about, if you weren't there last night, was we're going to condense some of the things we do during the day to ensure we carve more trade discussion time into the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday sessions. Bear with me if it sounds like I'm shuffling. I am. I'm making room for my keyboard and coffee. And now we're ready to go. Okay. This is the beginning of the list. This is what we are going to be keeping an eye on this week. Where is that? Sorry. Okay, here we go. Amazon. Amazon was on the list and flagged for an entry, but not unless it breaks this consolidation, right? So we marked, you can see there, this is the entry level here. This would be the take profit level. This would be the primary target up in this area. And this would be the stop loss with that entry. So I'm mapping this out, waiting for it to develop. If it shoots up and it gets up to this level today, it's valid for me. So that's what I'm looking for. If not, then I get to wait till tomorrow and possibly shift my entry level down, right? Now, if I shift my entry level down, then I might move this as well. So I'm just I've got a starting point here. That's the first one. The next one on the list, we'll go through the whole list, but I just want to concentrate on the trading first, right? That's what we wanted. Tell me if I'm off base, or if you're saying, yeah, Scott, this is exactly what we wanted. BLDR, flagging. Buyers took control. They shot it up. They got up here. Now they took a break, and the sellers are pushing down. We've had 3 days of sellers. They haven't even pushed it back to the start of this last day. What does that tell us about the sellers? That as of right now, and if you look down here, you see the sellers are what? Big buying day. Then the first selling day was a little bit, wasn't quite a dark cloud cover, but close. Didn't even have above average volume. The next day, it dropped a little more, volume less. So right now, what we have developing is a price volume divergence. Sellers seem to be running out of steam. And when sellers run out of steam after buyers take control, we have an opportunity developing here. Tell me if you see the pattern. Tell me if you want me to go through anything else. But as you look, this looks great. When you look at, let's say, Citigroup, I would actually say, if you took some financial trades, you're probably a little frustrated because it just failed to launch. And now you're like, do I stay with it? Do I close it? What am I going to do? But here's the thing is I'm looking at this saying, hey, this is still setting up. We know how hiccups work, where it can give you a signal and then have a little hiccup and then go. If you're willing to trade the hiccup, then you're willing to sit through the hiccup. So, okay. Press, that's a great call out. He said, if you didn't see the comment, sometimes I don't know if I should be leaning on technical or fundamental. Remember that technical is really focusing on the here and now, right? So on the technical, sometimes it's what we think, and what the fundamental is what we think, and the technical is what we see. I think we can be influenced, right? I think we can be influenced, but right now, what we're seeing on Amazon is based on the most recent earnings report and the guidance that was given then. And now, fundamentally, and I mean truly fundamentally, meaning the stock fundamentals, won't shift again until the next earnings. Nothing new comes out. Whether or not there's more perceived competition or weakening consumer demand, I call them the indomitable U.S. consumer for a reason. They always find a way to keep buying, right? And you even saw it recently when we had oh gosh, look at that. There was a little jump. When this Christmas season hits, man, I'll tell you what, I got Amazon. I got Amazon coming on a daily basis. So I would say I'm leaning more towards technicals. Is obviously my answer. But I'm saying don't discount necessarily what fundamentals can bring for perspective. Apple, thoughts on Apple? Popping out. So let me ask you, Miguel, are you thinking about it for a day trade? Are you thinking about it for this is the entry for the next push? For me, it's early. I am not a fan of trading in the first 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes for me is what I call the opening range. And that's where I get to see the buyers push, the sellers push. It goes up and down, it does its thing, and then it kind of establishes the zone. And then I say, okay, if it breaks out of the opening range, then... And that's actually quite an entrenched strategy for day traders. That's where I learned it, was a day trading strategy. Was even when I don't day trade, you can, that's a concept we talk a lot about here, is the opening range. Some people put 30 minutes on it. Some people put 15 minutes on it. I put on, did you just grab that this morning? Michael? Okay. That's a good speculative move. I love it. That is nasty news, right? That is nasty news. So back to the 15 minutes. So it's, for me, it's like minus 20 minutes. So I'll come down to a 5-day, 5-minute chart. And you can see, right, you got that initial push, and now you can see it slowing down already in the second candle. And then we watch, and if the third candle has a little bit of pullback, and then the fourth pulls back, and then it stabilizes, and then it starts to turn, I would actually, from a day trading standpoint, like that. I'd be like, ooh, I get to trade. I'd much rather catch it holding support at 228.40 than think I caught it erroneously breaking out at 229.5, right? And so it's just letting that range establish, unless you're gonna do something like Michael did, which is I'm gonna trade the news and the reaction to the news. That's a good catch. Those can be dangerous because market makers have a tendency to overinflate implied volatility on the open around news. And this goes back to literally 9/11 when the markets closed down and then opened. There was such a weird preemptive inflation of volatility that actually the options market was somewhat sustained by it, interestingly. But yeah, there you go. So Miguel, I don't think this discounts that this is trying to break this level. It clearly is. It's just, can this level hold now? And hopefully you can kind of see where I'm putting it as this opening range settles and then it turns out of it. But that's a day trade signal. That's why I was asking what type of a trade it is. If it's a trade where you're looking for the swing, a day trade signal, that's pretty aggressive. But I'm open to it. The posture's improved, so a day trade signal to enter, yeah, I'm here for it. Okay. All right. Well, hey, look, if we wanted more trading discussions, here we are. Yeah? Here we are. How was that it, Michael? In and done? Because you definitely caught that 485 to 440. The opening range in reverse, where it's like sellers, and then the buyers try to come back. Keep us posted. I love that. That's a quick hit right there. Break even at 433. Okay, next on the list. There you go, press. There you go. Maybe take half the gains and then make another play. Leveraging wins. That's a great philosophy for day trading. Okay, Google is the next one on the list. So we talked about Amazon. We talked about, let's get here to 6 months again. PLDR. Next one I have is Google. And I know Google, you're like, are you sure, Scott? Look, it broke this consolidation with a little sneaky higher low. Then it got to the higher high, higher than this one. And now we're in the selling cycle. And what have the sellers done? Hardly anything. Hardly anything. But buyers come, ready to go. Next one, IWM. Nice little flag. Still flagging. Great. Nothing there for us yet. When the buyers come, ready to go. KBH. Well, there's the pattern that we keep seeing, right? Next one, Meta. Oh, Meta. Now you can see Meta. I've got indications where I say, hey, there's my entry level as of now. It might come down a little bit from today to tomorrow, but there's my entry level. Stop loss, first target, big broad target. Why? Because if it breaks this line here at 544, you can see my cup and handle. I'm trading the handle first, and if it breaks, then I'm trading the cup. Microsoft. It's getting close. It's just kind of sitting there. Now, Microsoft, here's what's interesting. I even talked about Microsoft having a higher trigger point. If you go back and look at the recording, the trigger point wasn't just above this candle because that was a hammer. We closed at that candle. The trigger point was back up here above this level around 417.50 or so. Why? Because what I said was I don't want it to open above this like it did and then fall, right? Imagine if it opened and your trigger was if it closed above this candle. You're in and then it's falling and you're not sure if you want to be in. That's what we want to avoid when we're thinking about what triggers me into this trade. You'll notice that we're really trying to be proactive with our thought process right now. Next one, Micron. Did the buyers gain control? Yes. Look at the size of this. That was a great move. They took it from 86 to 110. It's a nice move. Then what? Sellers have pushed it halfway back. Okay. Still good. Anything past this halfway, I start to get a little bit more leery, but this is still fine. Stochastics is oversold. All I need are the buyers to come in. That's it. All of these are still in setup. None of them have triggered. But if we have a rally this afternoon, some of them could start. The ones I'm looking at mostly are Amazon, Meta. I had Netflix on my list. It almost triggered yesterday, but by the end of the day, it fell all the way back in. Today, it's still all the way back in. So that one's not ready yet. I have Nvidia on my list with a double star because it's got earnings. So obviously we're just going to see what that does. And that could move a lot of these things. If you're going to trade Palantir or TSM, which are coming up next, there's a good chance that they will be influenced by Nvidia's earnings. Yeah? And here's Palantir. And you can see everything about it. That there's the line of representative of my pullback, my consolidation. I'm waiting for it to pop out of that. There's the trigger point. If let's say it was 5 o'clock or 5 minutes before the market closed today, this is the close, I'd be thinking, yeah, I can probably move this down and get in a little sooner. I could probably actually still leave my stop the same. I might if I move my stop down or my entry down, let's say 30 cents, I might move my stop down 15 because then I'm net better off with the trade and I still maintain everything else. Again, I've got a pretty lucrative target up here. Why? Well, because I know this stock can make that kind of a move. Look at the size of that last move. It went from 26 to 33. That's 7 points. QQQ. Look, if you like trading ETFs, that is showing the exact same signal as everything else that we've been looking at. Here's the SPY. The SPY, let's go look at the opening range here. Then we'll go back and look at Apple's opening range. So let's zoom in. All right, so it opened down a little, and the sellers have veered it a little bit. But if we break out of this thing on the upside, then there's a good chance we start to make a run. Let's go look at Apple's. Okay, so Apple, you can see the sellers came, then the buyers came, then the sellers came. Now then, here's a question, and the answer is up to you. Do you use the shadow or the body for the opening range? I'm going to let you decide. It's up to you. If you use the shadow, you're up here. If you use the body, you're down here. It's about a 45-cent difference. I got to say, with this setup, I might lean more towards body. Because it's given a pretty concise representation. Right? So, love it, Michael. Well done. Drinks are on Michael. Buy yourself whatever you want. He'll send out the checks later today. Okay. Did we talk about all of them? No. Let's get to PLTR and Uh, is that the party sticker he's partying, or is that the laughing sticker laughing at having to buy drinks? I'm calling it the party sticker. uh, I do think that when we really focus on like, I mean, it's hard. Here's the thing: is I don't want us to lose the more generic conversations that allow you to explore your trading, but I do love talking about specific trades. You guys know that. Palantir all set up. TSM is the other one. Ooh. Oh, look at that. So this is where TSM, I gotta tell you, if it closes at like where it is now, or maybe closer towards the high of the candle, I think this is giving us a go ahead. If the day falls back into yesterday's range, right? And this is where I'm not comfortable putting it on this early in the day. I want to wait a little bit longer. Does this thing keep? Because right now you can see it's actually breaking the lower end of the range, or at least testing it. But if this holds and it starts to turn back, well then this is probably the most advanced in showing that you can even see it down here on your stochastics, right? Where it's turning. It's just at what point during the day do you find that you consider that valid? Because if this market starts to sell in the second half of the day and these things pop back down, then all the things that looked like signals early in the day, in fact, it's a pretty funny thing. I'll show trades, and I'll show winning trades where it looks like I picked the bottom perfectly, and then I'll show losing trades, and they'll be like, "Oh, why'd you get in that one?" I'm like, they looked the same when I took them. That's the point, right? It's not like when I pulled the trigger, they both had exactly the same look about them, and then one fell apart. Well, interestingly, if you it's not quite there yet, Michael, which is why I think this one is advanced in the buyers. If the buyers push a little bit, for me, if it gets, let's say, like towards 171 or above, that's where I'm thinking, okay, there they are. This thing's triggering. I can put a stop under yesterday's low. I don't have to give it a ton of space. And then I think we're going to take a ride up to the old highs, 193. So I should be able to make something with this. If it holds, if it goes. So this one's just kind of like holding up. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's get through the whole watch list. Those are the 12. Amazon, BLDR, Google, IWM, KBH, Meta, Microsoft, Micron, Netflix, Nvidia. Well, Nvidia maybe is on the hold. So 11, PLTR, TSM. What am I leaning towards? The three that I like and I'm leaning towards are Amazon, although you can see this is why we wait. Meta and PLTR, but certainly Google's present. This one is down a little bit more. Certainly Google is presenting a compelling case. TSM is presenting a compelling case. So, yeah. But as we look through everything, let's go look at Apple. And so Apple, there we go. Look at that. That last candle for the opening range really drove it back down, and we're now like, okay, now what? Well, now if it gave a higher low bounce in the opening range, then I'd be thinking, maybe there is something here for me after all. AXP. So the financials are still holding up potentially. I know Steven's in Bank of America. You can see what we said was, hey, if you would be willing to think that a hiccup is a viable time, then you would be willing to hold that time. Yeah. BLDR's on the list. Citi, still okay. Caterpillar. That was the one I was like, is it? It was. That was it. Apple illustrated the difference between a 20-minute open range and a 30-minute. And it's funny. I've had times where I've gone back and forth a little bit, but I have settled on 20 as the most for me. Costly extra 5. Oh, Colgate just keeps throwing it in my face. They're like, "Wait, Scott, what were you saying? You said something about taking focus off of consumer staples. What was that you said?" And I'm like, I don't remember. Did I say something? I can't remember. It was a while back now. How can I remember things that far back? Yeah, that sucks. I definitely shouldn't have done that. If you didn't look at it and you were influenced by me, sorry. Sometimes we think things. Did I see it? No, I thought it. That's CMG. Sandy was in this. Yes. It's showing signs of having a hard time at this resistance level around that point. It's sulking. That's a good word for it. Costco. Okay. We thought we were going to get a bite at Costco here and then maybe here. And sometimes it just doesn't give us. You can see it did the same thing. Right? Whereas it was like, what do we want to do with it? Carvana is still consolidating. That with Amazon stronger might look good. Fastenal. I think Fastenal is actually setting up for a sneaky entry. Miguel, are you still in it? It just keeps on. I mean, the sellers can't do anything with it. Grinding it out. Yeah, the sellers have nothing, but it's also hard to stay with things from that standpoint as well for buyers. GBTC pulling back, gold pulling back, General Motors not yet, but I will trade it when it does. Google is on the list. Home Depot, we'll see. IWM is on the list. JP Morgan just keeps on pushing, very strong. KBH on the list. Coca-Cola, very strong. McDonald's could move its way onto the list again, or move onto the list soon. The sellers have had, you can see right around this point here, we topped out, and the sellers have had the last 3 days. What have they done? Nothing. Meta's on the list. 3M, consumer defensive, looks plenty strong. Anyone who says otherwise, I don't know what's wrong with them. Morgan Stanley, Microsoft, looking for it. Micron, looking for it. Netflix, potentially looking for it. Nvidia, waiting for their earnings. Palantir, looking for it. Q's, viable. The market is just kind of flat right now. Could be all day. Here's Taiwan. This is why we wait. Right? That's why we wait. Because if this ends up all the way back down in here, then it's not like I'm like done with it. I'm just like, it's not ready yet. That's fine. Getting a bit of a pop in the dollar, which is fine because it really sold off pretty hard. All we were thinking, if you remember, back here in June, we're like, oh man, this dollar's putting some stress on the market. Well, it's not anymore. The VIX is just sort of at a paused level. But if I were describing this, I would say de-escalating or diminishing more than anything else at this point. Walmart. We need a consolidation, but if it does, I would like it. That's the list. Okay, remember, if we can't get so focused on trading that we don't talk about other things, we are talking about not that one. That one. Trading systems, your rules. What markets will you trade? Whoops, I didn't want to do that. What markets will you trade? What time frames will you use to make decisions? How will you position size? What's your entry? What's your stop? What kind of exits do you have? What kind of trade management will you use as far as taking off risk, protecting profits? What kind of tactics will you use for selling? Will you sell a third, a quarter, a half? All of these things are what we're trying to apply right now, where we say, I'm waiting for it to do this, and that's the trigger. If it triggers there, I put my stop there. And then I look for a target, and then I look for a second target, and then I have all my reward to risk, and I have the trade. Today's fine. Everything is fine. Alerts are still coming. I absolutely think that, feel that, believe that, see that. Questions, comments, or concerns? And we didn't talk as much about what's going on because we got more granular into trades. Is that good? Did we go too far? Did we not go far enough? Michael says we could always have more trading time. Give me your thoughts. Let me know. This was in response to your feedback that we're trying this. So hopefully it's resonating and you like what we're trying. Other than that, to this afternoon, Glenn will be with you the last hour, and you can talk about if there's signals firing off. And then tomorrow, Glenn will be here to start off the Foundations class working session, and then I will do the second half. I would expect that there's plenty of trading talk going on there. Friday, Glenn will be there first for the open. I'll wrap it up with the close. So plenty of time for us to interact. But don't be afraid to keep the conversation going. If you see things during the day, I would love to see more activity in Discord outside of our general meetings. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon. As always, happy trading.